All right, we're ready, you guys. I'm here with my good friend Kayla, and we're going to go ahead and give you guys some information about what lenders do not want you guys to know about, where to find that extra money that you can have hiding, that you have just stored. They don't want you to know about this. So we're going to get all of that out for you guys so that you'll know where to look for your money, you'll know what you have, and you'll know how your money is backed by more money, how you can pull out the loans that's backed by your money. Okay, so let's get to it. So, welcome everyone for tuning in. We come to take up a little bit of your time, but we want this information to be knowledgeable for you and for your family. So, take this information, share it with others. It's going to show you how you can pull out the insurance, how you can pull out the money that's backed by your money, by your loans. Okay, so a little bit about myself and my company. My name is Kentrella. I'm in the financial service industry and I'm in the business space. So I love to show people how they can find and utilize OPM, which is other people's money, in order to better like their lives, their business, like or so that's what we're gonna do here today. We're gonna show you guys like some good stuff. So let's get to it. We're gonna go ahead and let Kayla introduce herself, and then we'll get started. Go ahead, Kayla. Tell everyone where you're from and more about you.
Good afternoon. My name is Kayla Joshua, and I am a financial services mentor. So, what I do is I teach small business owners who make under 500K learn how to make 100K in 90 days using my 5-step power program, and that is exactly what I do. So, I'm thankful, Cantrella. Thank you for having me, and I'm glad to meet you guys.
Of course, Kayla hit a milestone last year in her with her company, right, Kayla?
Yes, I did.
Awesome, awesome. So we're gonna let Kayla go ahead and talk a little bit about life insurance policies and how do they actually work.
Well, life insurance policies basically they definitely vary. Some companies itself focus on term policies, meaning that at a certain term, that life insurance no longer works. Some companies focus on whole life policies, meaning whatever you purchase the policy at that time, and that's what you're going to pay for the whole duration of the term. And there's also other policies where you can set to pay for a certain amount of time, and some with a combination of both, some where you can place money into the policy and also save for the future as well. So it's like being your own bank. So at the end of the day, I particularly got into the life insurance industry because I saw that it was such a great need, especially for the African American community as a whole, because we're not knowledgeable about it. We're not taught life insurance. And a lot of other ethnicities use life insurance in order to gain financial freedom and for their families to advance, and leave a legacy for their children. So life insurance is something we definitely need to look at and take into consideration in any way, shape, or form that's possible for us.
Most definitely. The thing that I like about life insurance most is that I think it's whole life. I think you get whole life and you can start actually building some cash value in there. So my area of expertise is I like to find the hidden money.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes for me, the hidden money can be in the life insurance policies that accumulate more money. And sometimes for me, it's just finding, different avenues of where that money can be hiding at, how to invest in 401ks, how to invest in your IRAs, how to put money into your stock, how to pull those out. Like there's so many different avenues that's available to us today. Now we're learning all about this, and it's great that we have these platforms like this where we can actually share what we know to a broader community, right?
Yes, that's true. It's absolutely correct. And I like how you touched on the whole policy where you can earn cash value. There is other policies too, which are tied to indexes like the S&P 500 and NASDAQ, where based on the stock market increases, the amount of your policy increases. So you gain more as far as how much will pay out, God forbid something were to happen, or you can actually live off of that policy if you have some type of critical illness. But, like I said, unfortunately, we are not taught about it. And the way life insurance is set up, the younger you are, the more you need it. The older you get, the less amount of coverage you need. So because we're finding out so late, it's hindering us at the end of the day, because when we're getting to our mid 30s, upper 40s, and we go to get these policies, they're going to increase because we didn't get them a long time ago when we would have been set in that set rate.
Correct, correct. I love that, we can empower people and give them this knowledge, because many times our community, we look at it like, oh, here goes the life insurance talk again. But the value and how you can invest that money, is just phenomenal. And so that's where we come for that aspect of giving you guys, the exponential value of what we're talking about in all of these different insurances. So first thing we want you to know that your money is always backed by other money. Your money is somewhere protected, being backed by multiple insurances, by different insurers. And today we want to show you guys like where to look for that money, how to pull that money out, what to do if it applies for you, and how you're actually paying the premiums for their insurance, right? So let's talk loan insurance. Your loan insurance is an insurance policy that your creditors, lenders, bankers, finance companies, credit cards, car loan, mortgage loans, all types of money that's in a bank, that's invested in a bank, has insurance on it. When and how are you going to be able to tap into that insured money is all depend up to, once we go through this presentation, if these things you apply and qualify for your household. So your loans of any type, that means car loans, home loans, life insurance loans, installment loans, credit cards, or your money, if it's just sitting in the bank, has insurance on it. So how are you going to get to that? How are you going to get to, what's on your on your money? What's on your money? How do you find it? What are you talking about? So some quick questions that I want you guys to put in the forefront of your mind when you're going through, what should I ask when I'm taking out a car loan or a mortgage? You want to ask them if you have a disability or life insurance policy on that loan. You want to ask them how much is that premium. You want to ask them if there's a maturity period. You want to ask them if there's a statute of limitations. You want to ask them if there's a statute of limitations on your loan premium or your refund. You want to ask them what's the name of your insurer, which is the name of the insurance company that backs the money on your loan. Okay, we know that the money that's sitting in the bank is backed by FDIC. We know that. We know if something happens to our money in the bank, we pick up the phone, call the bank. They do an investigation, right, Kayla?
Yes, and some financial institutions actually are backed by privatized insurance as well. It doesn't have to be backed by FDIC. I want to say it is ASI. I'm going to have to double check my sources. One of the financial institutions I bank with in particular, they decided not to be backed by FDIC because it was I forgot. I think it's 250,000, whereas the other company was for 500,000. So you do want to find out how much each account you're covered for, and is it for the total account or if it's for each share? Because with credit unions, they have different shares. So you might be backed for, say, 250 or 500,000 for each individual share versus for the entire account. So that's something you want to ask and look into with each bank, whoever you bank with.
Correct, correct. So it's good that it's easy because we deal with the banks daily. We know that if something goes on, pick up the phone, call the bank. They probably gonna investigate, but they are gonna give you that money back simply because that we know that that money is backed by insurance. But we need to know what other monies is backed by insurance. How is it there? How did it get there? How much we have invested in it? And then how do we get it in a case of need? So one type of we'll get into beneficiaries, but one type of way you can know, like I said, you want to go back a couple of slides here because we did go fast, but I do want you to know that you definitely want to ask these questions. You need to know how much is backed by that specific loan. Okay, so if something happens in the case of debt or in the case of your disability, then that loan is going to pay out. And if you've reached that premium amount, then it's going to pay out the entire amount. And I've seen in the case of debt as well, if your car it's probably going to have insurance on it. Many times when we sign those loan documents, we're signing, okay, we know we can have GAP. How many times they talk about GAP? Everybody says GAP. I don't want GAP, but guess what? GAP is another protection measure for your car, for your insurance, for your money. GAP is just another type of protection. Your extended warranty is another type of protection. But the money, the actual loan that the lender has lent you has also is backed by money. So in the case that, and it's insured. So in the case that you're disabled, or if something, God forbid, happens to you where you are mentally, physically, or incapacitated, or even in the case of debt, then your family will have another resource. That car loan could possibly be paid off and tap into that extra money that's sitting on that bank loan. Okay, now if you have any questions, you guys want to reach out to get clarity on that, because it's really important that you know that. Many times we say, oh, I'm in their car. How did they say it? When someone dies, the car goes back because the car isn't paid off. But honestly, which is on the next slide, there's a beneficiary on every loan. That's another question you want to ask when you're taking out loans, installment loans, your cars, your mortgage, just anything, any and everything, your credit cards. You want to put a POD on those accounts, right? You want to put a beneficiary on those accounts, and then you can even put extended beneficiaries. Even in my stocks, I have beneficiaries. I have 2 trustees on the account. That way, if something happens to me or my beneficiary, or me and my beneficiary at the same time, God forbid, then there's somebody that money is allocated to, so that they can know who gets what portion of the home, what portion of the vehicle, what portion of, and how to pull the insurance money off that bank account. So the insurance money that's on the back of the bank loan is what we're talking about, how to pull that out in the case of disability and in the case of debt, God forbid. And again, we want to state that there's put beneficiaries on everything. The first thing that you want to ask your lender and your loan company, your banker, whoever's giving the loan. So the car, if you go to the dealership, the salesman gonna sell you the car. He's not gonna talk about that bank. He's not gonna talk about that lender that just financed your car. He's gonna make you sign documents, and then he's gonna turn that car over to you. You need to make sure you put a beneficiary on that car and that car loan. Okay? So the same thing here. What happens when I take out a car loan? You want to ask if you have GAP. You want to ask them about warranty. You want to ask them about extended warranty. Make sure that keep premiums. Keep the copies of your premiums. Know where to go and get them. Know where you can trust those documents just as much as your living will. Know where you can trust those documents. Whose hands you can trust those documents in. Even if you have to get a safe deposit box. Somebody needs to know where to pull your monies from, because it's all going to help us, and especially when it comes to end of life, right?
Yes, yes, I agree. And kind of to piggyback off what you were stating, personal loans, mortgage loans, car loans, home loans. Usually, most companies that offer that insurance is a third-party company. I worked in the financial industry for over 15 years prior to being an entrepreneur. And every time I did a loan for a client, I would ask them, do you want to add additional insurance? So like you stated, if that person became disabled, if that person lost their job, God forbid, if that person passed away, then you can have this insurance on your loan, and it will be able to pay your loan payment until you're able to pay your loan payment again. And God forbid, if you were to pass away, then of course, by all means, then it will pay off the remainder of the loan. If there's anything left in excess, then it will go to the beneficiary. Keep in mind, if there isn't a beneficiary on the account, then the money will have to go into probate. And if you don't have a trust or living will, then it's going to take maybe months to years before the financial institution is able to decipher who actually owns that house, who actually owns the money in the bank account, who actually owns that vehicle. So when you are applying for these loans and this type of information, we can use a car, for example. You say GAP. GAP stands for Guaranteed Auto Protection. So with GAP insurance, as soon as you drive off a car, if a car you bought it and it was worth $40,000, as soon as you drive off the lot, it's worth $35,000. You get into an accident 5 minutes later, the insurance company covers what that car is actually worth, which is that $35,000. Since you had GAP insurance, hopefully, God's willing, the GAP insurance will cover the difference, and you might have access left over, and that money goes to you in your pocket. I had a personal situation with my own vehicle I sold to my son. Thank God I had GAP insurance, and my car was worth more than I actually owed. Once the car was totaled out, we received the check and everything went to the person whose name was on that title. So keep in mind, like I said, when you're getting these loans, you're asking not only who the loan provider, whoever the company is that is providing this service, you want to make sure you ask, is there an additional fee for this service? And if it is, how much does it cost? Because it's usually so many cents per $1,000 on the loan. And then you want to make sure all your ducks are in a row.
Correct. And on top of that as well, so that's GAP, right? So
well, that's all loans. That's GAP, personal loans, home loans, auto loans.
Yeah.
The most companies, like I said, it's usually a third-party company outside of the financial institution that offers that additional insurance on the loan. But you have to make sure that you do opt in, or else you'll be waiving that. And if something were to happen, you just lose everything you paid into that loan.
So let's say, for instance, they go ahead, they get GAP. Something happens, that GAP's gonna pay out that $35,000. That additional loan that's sitting on that car. Let's take that car for instance. We're still talking about that car. Is gonna have an insurance. So guess what? That's an additional $2,000-$3,000 you can pull out just from the money insured back by the loan. So you're gonna get GAP, then you're gonna get the additional money. So that's how we talking about navigating and finding monies. And I'm glad Kayla touched on that, because a lot of times our people, we back away from things and then we don't see that there's value in any and everything. So that's in the case of a disability, or God forbid, in the case of debt, that you'll be able to take advantage of multiple opportunities if you know where to find your hidden money from. So this is a great live today, Kayla. I sure appreciate you for being here today.
Oh, you're welcome.
So look, we touched on it already. Same rules apply. Cards, debit cards, bank account, credit cards. Know where your money is. Know if you're taking out policies on that money. Most times, I mean, I'm not sure about you, Kayla, but I know if I done been to the loan company and I done signed off on a loan. So now that I know, the first thing that I ask them is if I have insurance that covers this policy. You may have a separate insurance for disability and for life. It may be one, it may be combined, but you may have two different policies. And something happens to you where you can no longer work, you can't keep up with these bills. Call them. Guess what? They're not going to tell you that your money is insured. Who's my insurance company? Who's my money backed by? They're going to start giving you those names. You're going to start calling those companies. You're going to start filing a disability claim with them. Or even a life insurance, God forbid, a life insurance claim with them for your family members. So it's great that we utilize all of these resources, because we've seen in the case of debt, right, Kayla, that those extra $2,000-$3,000 actually benefit families.
Absolutely.
All right, so same thing here on all of your money. We want you to be financially successful in all areas of life. We want you to, utilize all of the skills that you learn, utilize all of the material. And I know we went pretty fast in the beginning, but we wanted to get this information out to you guys so that you can know where you're staying, right, Kayla? We know this stuff, but it's hard to get it to in the hands of other people, you know. So that's all we have for today. Our next webinar should be May 22nd. I'm thinking May 27th. 22nd is the business credit webinar. Kayla, you have anything coming up?
Yes, absolutely. Mother's Day is this weekend. So on Sunday, I'm having a webinar to teach people about financial literacy. And this goes back to not just insurance, anything financial, learning how to be able to actually read your credit report, know when something is reflected negatively. Like I'm pretty much giving away $500 worth of information on credit restoration for literally nothing. It's a $25 donation, and that does go to my nonprofit, which is called Knowledge Solutions Foundation. And the nonprofit is actually geared toward financial literacy, teaching the community. So any funds that we obtain goes directly back into the community and teaching young adults, women, and single parents how to be more financially literate in this current day and age.
Oh yes, most definitely. So what me and Kayla have created here is a financial powerhouse to give you guys the most value. And on top of what you just seen us did today was double your money. So not only do you have money on the forefront, you know where to look for that money on the back end of that loan, right? So you guys definitely wanna, if y'all need anything, connect, get out with Kayla, get with her for Sunday. She's gonna show you how to build your personal credit. And I want you guys to get with me on May 22nd. We're gonna show you how to build your business credit, and then you're gonna get even bigger bang for buck. We're not losing any businesses in this industry. We're gonna build up our communities. We're going through a recession. Many of us are feeling the recession right now, but guess what? We're getting ready to come out on top. Not everybody in the recession stays in the recession. And in a recession, a lot of people actually come out on top because that's their better moment. So we want you guys, if you've missed it, definitely go back, watch the replay. It's some good information here teaching you guys where to find your money that's backed by money.
Absolutely. And if you want to reach out to me, if you have any questions about the webinar coming up this Sunday, my website is joinkayla.com. Once again, it's joinkayla.com. My cell phone number is 725-777-6048. So you can always schedule a consultation on my website. You could text to schedule a consultation. You can go to the website and check out all of the other products and services I offer as well. But I would definitely be glad to have you. And I just want to give it back to Cantrella. Thank you again for having me and trusting me to speak as well, to your family member and friends here. I really do appreciate it, and I don't take it lightly.
Oh, yes, most definitely. So I hope to see you Sunday, Kayla. And
Yes,
until that time,
absolutely.
talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye-bye.